All I'm saying is that there is much more than just sending F-16 and F-15s to destroy nuclear sites in order to create a setback. Why is it that Iran wants to destroy Israel? Well, I have news for you. They may hate us, but their biggest enemy is not Israel, it's Saudi Arabia. I don't know if you know that. Iran's biggest enemy is not America and it's not Israel, it's Saudi Arabia. Why? The Iranians are the guardians of Shiite Islam, the Saudis are the guardians of Sunni Islam, and the history between these two is so bloody and that the killing of Jews and Christians along the way was minor compared to how much they kill each other and how much they hate each other. But the interesting thing is that in order to provoke war, Israel is the best target. Everybody loves to hate Israel. These are strong and active countries. Look at those three and look at what we saw. Starting from the year 2010, we saw, and you look on the screen and you can see, for the very first time in the history, these three leaders of these three countries are meeting together in a strange coalition. Because Iran, Turkey, and Russia never ever were friends before. And look at this. They become friends with one reason, and we'll read about it in a few seconds. But let's look at the weak and the passive ones. Probably you're saying, how can I see the US flag at the weak and the passive one? Well, I don't know if you know that the United States of America is going through its most difficult financial crisis in their history. They owe more money to the Chinese and the Europeans than they can ever pay back. And their luck is that China wants them alive, because China wants the money back. But the United States is so weak right now that in every international arena, they're no longer the strongest country there. They still may have military power, but they are no longer the superpower in the world. They owe money. People basically own them. And so they're very limited in the way they can do things. America is being crippled financially, and thus it is not in any position to say something. What about Egypt? Everybody have heard the term the Arab Spring. How many of you heard that? That's a beautiful spring, huh? You send on Facebook, let's start a demonstration. Everybody meets, those who have computers, and they get together, wonderful demonstration, and guess what? The government has been toppled, and guess who takes over their revolution? The Muslim Brotherhood. Those who don't even have computers. They took over, and that Facebook revolution worth nothing today. It is no longer the inspired youth that wanted change in the government. It is now the extreme Muslims Islamic organization that was founded in 1920 in Egypt and is by far the most radical organization in the world that calls for the implementation of the Sharia law all around the world, for the complete domination of Islam, and for the annihilation of any regime that stands on their way. Their leader, Mohammed Morsi, has become the new president of Egypt. Egypt is on the verge of any time of another war because it's not stable at all. People understand their revolution was basically stolen from them. How many of you hear about Syria lately? You know what's going on. A lot of people don't even know that Damascus is the capital of Syria. Nobody really heard about Damascus over the last 50, 70, 80, 90, 2,000 years. And suddenly, it's every day in the news. Unbelievable. They don't like their president. But one thing is for sure. We don't like what we see. Our eyes of the Israeli intelligence are fixed on the weapons of mass destruction that are in the heart of Syria, mostly chemical and biological, that they have produced and they are still producing. And we don't want that weapon to fall into the wrong hands. And Israel is ready to attack any minute. Should that storage of weapons of mass destruction will fall into the wrong hands. For the first time in the history of the state of Israel, we are saying that we will attack Damascus if we think that there is a need. Interesting. And what about Europe in this whole thing? The Europeans are interesting, aren't they? It's kind of a nice place, isn't it? Good cheeses, good bread, historical cities, wonderful buildings. Great. And after 2 world wars, they really want peace. At least that's what we were thinking. The Europeans, I don't know if you know that, are going through one of the most terrible financial crises, and their economy is plunging right now. These are the countries we like to call the pigs. Portugal, Ireland, Italy, Greece, and Spain. I mean, Cyprus was added lately. These countries demand billions of euros in order to restore their economies. Europe has never been in such financial crisis before since World War II. And to be honest with you, the best thing that ever happened to the European economy then was the war. And something is very interesting going on with Europe. I don't know if you ever heard of this hotel called Hotel de Bilderberg. It's a very interesting hotel. And in May 1954, the Prince of Holland, Bernard, gathered a meeting of European and American elites and decided that it should be an annual meeting where they are basically sitting together. We're talking about big shots. You're talking about the heads of Coca-Cola and Shell and Fiat and others, the Queen of Holland, Henry Kissinger, Helmut Schmidt, Gerhard Schröder. I mean, world leaders, billionaires. You're talking about movers and shakers in the economy, in the media, industrialists, politicians, bankers. It's a very famous club, and it's meeting every year, once a year in Europe somewhere. And every attendee shares, all of them share one condition, and this is discretion. Nobody says anything about what we're talking about. And for the first time in the year 2011, they started entertaining themselves with the idea that maybe the bad economy of Europe needs a war. Listen to me. Those who are opposing war and were all about peace all over the world are meeting behind closed doors, and they have no democratic control. They sit behind those closed doors, and they are basically describing the future that they want to see and how they can handle problems of the world. Not only that, we know that they were appointing future heads of states and recommended them. Bill Clinton, Lionel Jospin, Jose Manuel Barroso, as well as Barack Obama, were all invited to join shortly before they came to power. Probably you're thinking that I make it up. This group is so dangerous and so discreet that you know nothing about them. But the scary thing of all is that in the year 2012, just last month, Europe, for the first time since World War II, gave a green light for the idea that maybe a war is actually a good thing. Why do I talk about that? Because if you really think about it, the eyes of everyone are fixed on one country, on Israel. What is it that they want from us? What did we do wrong to them? I mean, let the Europeans live, let the Arabs live, let the Russians live, and leave us alone? Well, no. Apparently, it's much stronger and much bigger than you can imagine. Israel is to be blamed for all the world's problems. It's because it is satanic, It is demonic, it is diabolic, and it is the plan of Satan to bring about the end to those whom God chose. You understand that? It's very simple. Very simple. The same way he wanted to destroy the children of Bethlehem, so Jesus will not be born or not become the Messiah, he wants to destroy today's children of Israel, so nothing of the future will take place. But it's very interesting. Everybody's economy is plunging. Look what we're going on with us. We have great gas discoveries that are putting us on the map of becoming a world superpower of natural gas. 2010, we found 6.3 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. 11, we found 16 trillion cubic feet. We found more, and actually we're waiting for the approval of a new finding that combines all three together. Wow. Interesting, isn't it? Could it be that the gas that Israel is now finding is indeed the hook in the jaw of Russia to come down, gather Arab countries around it, and go and attack Israel as the prophet Ezekiel in his 38th chapter described? Watch this. This is basically today's reality. Israel becomes an energy superpower. Russia wants to keep its gas supremacy. Europe approves a war to recover from their problems. The Islamic regimes are calling for the destruction of Israel, to, for example, Iran. And America is too weak and is standing by. All this, by the way, is amazing. It is happening today. Why is it so important? Because the Bible is giving us few different scriptures regarding our future. Jesus on the Sermon on Mount of Olives basically said to his disciples that these are the signs of the end times. There will be nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, famines, pestilence, earthquakes. But I can tell you one thing. Ever since World War II ended, more than 3,500 weeks passed, and only 3 weeks combined were peaceful in this world. You're talking about wars and rumors of wars all over the country. More earthquakes took place over the past 5 years than all 30 years combined together. Famines are all over the country, all over the world. But these are generic, these are general things. Isaiah in his 17th chapter in verse 1 said, "Behold, Damascus will become a heap of ruins." Out of the blue. He's speaking of the city of Damascus, which is on the news today, and saying it will cease to exist. And Ezekiel says, "Behold, Russia. There will be a hook in its jaw that will bring it down towards Israel. Persia, Iran, Gomer and the house of Togarmah, Turkey is going to come and join it. And they will come to plunder and to steal and to take something from the land of Israel." What is it that they want to take? I think we just discovered gas. I think that is probably what is going on. Bottom line, the stage is getting ready. You may eat as much balut as you want. You may eat as much Jollibees as you want. You may be busy with your own business. God has a plan for the whole universe, and He is determined to fulfill every jot and every dot of it. And we are living in those days. But more so, I want you to know that nothing you will ever do or decide will affect God's plan for the whole world. What it will affect is your role in God's plan for the whole world. And you need to understand, folks, that the stage is completely ready. And as Jesus said in Luke 21,